Start
What the fuck
recording.
is Ben even saying?
All right, so now let's see if it comes back. Okay, we're live again. Live. Now I gotta wait for everybody to fall back in here. We have 16 people watching.
I hear.
Do you? Okay. Can you hear everything?
Everybody's got to switch over to the new chat.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. Very good. What the hell's going on with that? Advanced audio properties. Main mic. Mono. Nope. Mic aux. Where's mic aux? Mic aux. There it is.
Okay. So stupid.
A slight hum.
Yeah, I hear it too in the background. Whenever you speak, I hear hum in the back, which I heard earlier, but it's better than it was.
It's probably the fan blowing through.
Could be.
Can you guys hear? Can you guys hear the music now? Or not the music, but the chant. Is that coming through? Yep. Okay. Good. Good. All right. So, Mystic, one more time.
Yes.
Take it away.
Shit, and yeah, more stuff.
Shit, and more shit.
So as I was saying, the Oracle I have this week. I know there's already been some comments. Can't please everybody, but kidding. Deep, Dark, Dangerous Oracle. This is by Stacy DeMarco. This tarot, if you recognize the name Stacy DeMarco, she has pretty prolific in writing for Oracle cards, tarot cards, all kinds of different groups. She's made probably 10-ish or so decks. The illustrator, I already said I'm not going to try the name, but anyway, this is a neat Oracle deck. It's not one that I'm falling head over heels for, but I do like a lot of the imagery of it. I love the red foil edges. That's always a big thing I like. And I like that when you are, and I'm kidding too, House here, but yeah, so I love the foil edge decks and the borderless decks, as most people know. But the fun thing is, most of the time when you have a foil edge or any type of shiny edge like this one, the cards stick like crazy together. But these do not. These are very decent quality, probably the top end of the middle quality of a card. They are Oracle size, meaning they're wider than your standard. Pretty good. From that perspective as well. So, just to pull up some random cards, we've got, so you can see a couple of the images. This is Kelpie. So you can see kind of how the imagery works on the cards. They're fantastical creatures. There's some darkness to them, but there's also a lot of brightness and color, which I think is very nice to me anyway. I really enjoy that part. One of the cards is vampire, so obviously we're looking at imagery that represents again the deep, the dark, and the dangerous, because that's what she says. We got the Selkie, said Kelpie and Selkie, and I think these do capture some of the folklorish representations of those types of entities, especially Kelpies being a lot more aggressive and negative seeing. So pretty cool. We're gonna pull a few cards. Like I said, I am extremely tired today. It's been a rough couple of weeks. We're still recovering and doing stuff from the storm, so I'm not fully up on my energy. I'm not back in normal. I'm not with the balanced group that I've been with for a while. A lot of things have been different. So I'm just gonna pull a couple of cards and we're gonna talk through them. And we're gonna see what they say for the next couple of weeks here. What's the energy that we have? And that's some sexy energy. Thras. Oops, back up here. All right, so this is our first card, number 21, I think it is. No, I cannot read, obviously. Number 15. Our second card. That is a very interesting. I actually really like that Hecate image. Not how I picture Hecate, but the image itself is a very neat representation. You've got the dark and the light together with the fire and the universe. I think that's pretty cool. Our third card is Arrhenius. We had a little bit of some. Oop, got some weird light in there. So it looks like we're going through a couple of different elements here too. It looks like
I'm
we're
liking the way
going
these look.
from earth, water through the night and the fire, and then through the earth. Um, these are all cards of interest in the energies that are going on right now, and I can tell you, I absolutely feel what we're seeing here. In this card, there's a feeling of different image and cycles going around it. So if you start in what you would be that corner here, I'm not going to give you a direction because I can't tell. But if you cycle through this, you go from the sun, you go down to the darkness, you go down to the earth, you come back around to the sky and back up. So you've got this little bit of a cycle here that's a representation of having your hands available to do the work. So this is, to me, a representation of the ability for individuals to assist and work through community, right? And Curse, a very interesting thing about that, it's not good for many people, yes, and other things we'll look up, but I've been reminded recently that it is good to be positive and have a positive outlook, but it's also very important to allow yourself to work through and allow yourself to feel the negative feelings and not push them into something that doesn't exist, right? So just because, yes, it could have been worse to somebody or it was better for somebody else doesn't mean that their feeling of that is invalid. And that's been a theme for me this past couple of weeks. But anyway, so this card represents the energy around us that is of loyalty, it is of hand, it is of community, it is of sticking with people despite the things that are difficult, and it's sticking through difficult times. Hecate. I love that this card puts the definition or the feeling that goes with Hecate as illumination, right? So what's interesting to me about illumination? Most of the time, what do we first think of with illumination? Positive, bright. It's great. It's colorful. I can see it. It's good. That's not always the case. Illumination, that brightness is coming from burning off something, right? You can see the fire. That is her hair. Hecate is an entity that does not illuminate things because she wants to help you illuminate things. She's illuminating things because you need to burn something off and you need to let something go and maybe beat the shit out of it to get rid of it so that what's left behind is the illuminated remains that will allow you to build something new. Hecate doesn't generally work with, here's a light, sunshine, I want you to come play. That's not a message that's typical of Hecate in my experience. The message is, look, bitch, light the shit on fire and move. That's the message that we're getting out of Hecate. We're on YouTube. I'm so sorry. Can't help you. Okay. And then Aaron, yes. Sorry, Brad seems to not be able to find us on YouTube. I don't know what he's doing. Because other people can certainly see us now. We have 12 watching. But anyway, and then Aaron, yes, I don't know anything about this individual or this entity, and I may not even be saying it right. But the first thing I got out of this is Ice Queen. And I get a feeling of getting yours. The little label on here for her is vengeance. I'm not a vengeful person. However, to me, it's talking maybe about the writing of the scales, right? And the necessity of getting yourself or whatever it is that you're doing balanced. So it goes back to my comment earlier of just because something is a certain way and you feel a certain way, maybe somebody else has it better or worse, but you don't knock your own feelings down, right? Erin, yes, I don't know how to say that, Dragon Dancer, so you can look that. So this is for the Deep, Dark, and Dangerous Oracle. So in a grand scheme of things, an energetic scheme of things, it is put your hands out, use them for community, be willing to burn away the stuff that sucks, and make sure that you're allowing yourself to work through what it is that you're working through, that you're burning away effectively, um, and allow yourself to make it right. It's okay for you to seek uh, compensation, I guess, for things that have been wrong to you. I don't think that that's necessarily a negative thing. And Scarlett, I 100% agree, and I can see that healing can be vengeance because the person no longer holds you. That's a really great way to put it, and I think that goes a lot with Hecate's vision of illumination, which again is to me the first thing I get is it's burning away. It's not the little here's a little light for you to see your path. You know, and Rook apparently found it because I can hear myself now in stereo in the other room.
There you go. There you go.
But it's a really cool deck. I like the imagery on it. It's not a deck that I would tend to use.
Seems kind of
It's
shadowy.
weird. It is shadowy, but like for me, and I have lots of shadow decks in tarot, but I don't particularly like. And this is going to be, I already know somebody's going to read this out on me and tell me what this means in my shadow because it's part of my shadow work I'm looking. Um, the cards that I tend to like don't have people like full human photographic style faces to them. They can have artistic human faces or drawn human faces, but when they're like photographic style human faces, I don't like them. It's the same thing with pictures, wall decor and stuff. Well, not necessarily pictures of us, but like if I'm gonna have designs or things hanging in my house, I don't want people in them. I like landscapes, I like images, I like abstraction and things like that. So that's just a personal preference. I don't usually like cards that have it. Like for example, the Angelarium. There's faces in all of them. None of them are human. Love that deck. I don't like something about the human face in it is not a fan. I'm just not a fan of.
Right.
Because I don't know, it maybe draws me to the humanity of them or the personality of the card versus the underlying meaning. I don't know. It's something.
Possibly. Possibly. I tend not to have an issue at like with phases and decks and things like that. It doesn't really bother me.
I think it's just like I don't want to see a person in there. I want to get into a fantastical world and get the imagery going, And I want to design what the person looks like in my head. It's the same way when I read books, when I read fantasy art and you don't have any pictures in them.
Right.
I want to make up what those people look like.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the decks, it doesn't really bother me because I'm not looking at necessarily the faces very often. I'm looking at what's going on around. So, you know, so the topic for discussion, but what I'm thinking I kind of want to talk about, today is taking your emotions and making them constructive. Right? Taking whatever energy you have inside of yourself, whether that be pent up negative energy, pent up positive energy, and making it something that is constructive and works for you, right? So for those, that are aware, which I'm assuming most of you are because I kind of posted it onto the channel here, right? I was going through kind of like a rough kind of like, I had a rough mental health couple of days. And, what I for me, honestly, for the last, I say probably like this whole week, what's been helping me out, to kind of like get myself out of a funk. Generally speaking, I'll do a ritual, something like that, and use that ritual, to kind of direct my energy. And I tried that a couple of times this week, and it just was not cutting it. It just wasn't cutting it. Oh, here's the new cat, the all black cat, right here, which goes by the name of Witchy.
Meh. I like his meow. Sounds like a baby goat.
So, for me this week, what has really kind of helped me out is actually taking that abstract emotional energy that I have pent up inside of me and putting it into physical work. So I've been the last couple of days doing a lot of exercise, a lot of weightlifting, a lot of and I think for me, and I think maybe for a lot of people, I think that even physical activity, like exercising, moving around, doing these types of things, these can be ritualistic in nature, right? These things can, you don't necessarily always need to have candles and a pentagram, with burning incense for it to be considered a ritual. I think whatever it is that you're doing, you know, that is going to help you, you know, direct that energy and pull yourself into a different direction to where you want to be. And let me look, the first day was hard. The first day was the hardest day for me to hit the bench and start lifting weights. It was hard because I was just like, I just don't have the energy. I don't want to do this, you know. And I forced myself to do it. Like I forced myself to, pick the weights up and just start going at it. And then before I knew it, like I was already an hour and 10 minutes into a workout. And the same thing for today. Mystic, what do you think?
I mean, I agree. There's a lot to be said with exercise. Now, channeling emotional activity into exercise can probably be a good outlet, but it also does not permanently relieve that stress. It only allows for a blow off valve of sorts, right? It relieves pressure maybe at the moment. We know that physical activity and exercise releases, I think, endorphins, epinephrine, other serotonin, other feel good chemicals that are in your body that allow you to have more positive thoughts. But that is usually spoken on a consistency basis. So, like, daily exercise helps increase those levels from that perspective. But when it comes to channeling negative emotional behaviors into physical, it's probably good temporarily. My guess, and I don't know this because I'm not that, that's not my, but I feel like it's good as a momentary crutch, and it's a good redirection to reduce stress if ongoing. But when it's used as, it's just like anything else, it can become its own addictive drug when the original issue is not fully dealt with.
No, yeah, I completely agree. I do completely agree with that. I think it's, for a lot of situations, it's a band-aid, right?
Yeah, it's an outlet. It's a pop off valve. It's a pressure reliever.
Yeah, I mean, but it is definitely what has been like kind of helping me out. Um, okay, yep, you can sit right there. Um, so and so for me, that it's really kind of, for me personally, like it's really helped out, because doing the ritual work and things like that just has not, like, been cutting it for me, as of late, and I just needed something more. And I guess I don't know, feeling that kind of, like, that physical
Here's
exhaustion when you get that point of failure, and you can't lift anymore. And I think it's important for us to kind of, as human beings, as occultists, to develop different rituals that we do to direct our energy. Because not always, like, we don't always want to take our energy and direct it into something that we want to create in terms of, like, magic, right? Like, that's not always going to be a thing. We don't always have something that, we want to start pushing out into the ether, to kind of, like, manifest.
Well,
And
think of it like a toolbox. You're never going to want or be extremely successful if your tool only has one specialized, or toolbox has only one specialized tool in it. You need an assortment of tools to utilize, an assortment of coping mechanisms to manage different behaviors and different processes that we feel and that we do. So absolutely, you need different ways, and when you find one that works, it's good. You should use it. But when you get to the point where you need to utilize that, ritual in order to offset what you're feeling or doing, the important point then becomes afterwards to go back and look at that situation. Go back and look at what initiated this behavior. Was there something that I could have seen? Is there something I could have changed? Is there something I could have done differently? There has to be a completion of the circle. Right now, going from a severe depressive episode to an outlet that allows you to get through that episode, and then not going back and trying to figure out what was the cause or initiatory part of that, and or not making a change that you may need to make in order to avoid that the next time. Then it's going to keep happening. You're still going to have that pop off valve. Your stress will be reduced. You will feel better after it, and you should, but the problem won't go away. Right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And sad world, to answer your question, again, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Everybody starts somewhere. And can you create your own rituals? Yes, you can create your own
Absolutely.
rituals doing anything. Like
I think
whether
you
that's
should.
yeah, definitely you should. Like I can't remember. I'll be honest, I can't remember the last time I used a ritual that I found in a book.
Now, I will say there is a one-a-day almanac for spells and rituals. It's very, very helpful. It's chintzy, but it is a great place to start if you're looking for some. And they're very, very close to self-help. Sorry to interrupt, but I just was reading one the other day, and I'm like, I need to do these, like, because I actually
Right.
it makes sense.
No, I mean sometimes it's good to have something like maybe you do want to do a ritual, but you can't think of something in your head to do, and so what you do is like you pull one out of a book, and you color in some of the blanks here and there with your own stuff, and make it your own, which also works. And I think again, like ritual, like we've talked about this a lot on the show. Like ritual can be a lot of things. Ritual isn't only or exclusively lighting up the candles and kneeling down in front of the altar and pushing energy out into the ether. It's not always what a ritual is. I mean, think about Mystic with his cooking, right? When Mystic is in the kitchen, those are rituals. Those are rituals.
They surely are.
And there's no candle magic or anything like that involved in it. It's more holistic, right? It's more getting in touch with the base of things, creating something from scratch, grabbing these ingredients and putting them together. That is a ritual, and that is what we define as ritual, right? Is when we take these elements, these things, and we start to put them together, right? And that is what kind of brings about that focus into kind of like creating something and manifesting something in front of you. And sometimes that manifestation is just how you feel, right? That manifestation doesn't always need to be a car or a house or money or love or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest at that particular point in time. Sometimes manifestation is manifesting yourself on the other side of an obstacle. That's something that you're dealing with in your head or in your emotions. So yeah, you can definitely create, and I think you should create your own rituals. And again, exercise can be a ritual, cooking can be a ritual, eating can be a ritual. Right? You can turn eating into a ritual, right? Getting ready for bed is a ritual. What you do waking up in the morning is a ritual. So it really kind of depends on what your necessity is, right? Go ahead, Mystic. I'm sure you want to read what you got.
Yeah, like so I literally opened it up right to the page for this week, right? And this is a spell a day almanac. It's pretty interesting. Some of it's kind of silly, but today's ritual or spell is a little bit of a story. It's been said in buttonless circles. Buttonless. This is a button thing. That a button, like on your clothes, is something for the devil to hang on to. So if the devil can hang on to it, why can't your guardian angel? Call it whatever you want to. I don't give a shit, right? We don't care whether it's angel, devil. Take a moment to talk to who you feel your guardian angel is. Do it every day. As you converse, what colors or patterns come to mind? Find a button and the colors or patterns that were shown to you. Sew them onto the inside of the left side of your coat or jacket, right over your heart. And as you sew, say, near to my heart, angel of mind, bound by thread and love divine. Carry the angel with you wherever you go. So a very small representation that's a sympathetic magic where you find something that represents a thing that you've connected to it, and you utilize that to remind yourself of those things. It's very similar to the semicolon tattoo, I think, in solidarity, or other types of sympathetic magic where you make things and you connect them in order to remind yourself of what they mean and how to get back to that space. It's also how I get into my meditative states when I'm trying to do protection magic. It's a very specific keyword that I've used for the last 10 years. I close my eyes, I say it, I immediately picture this phrase, and it puts me right into a zone where I can do different kinds of magic. So I just thought that was a neat way to look at it. I mean, those are things that anybody can do. They don't have to be these huge things. Ephemeral obscura, the bath ritual, that is a big one for me. And when you're taking a shower in the morning, picture if it were a spell, or an actual ritual, the water that's hitting you, and it is washing away the negative things that are happening to you, and they're going down the drain. It's a great way to look at it. But there's so many things you can do. I think it's a really neat topic to get into, because I think we make ritual to be so big and so excessive and important. It's can be scary. um it's we make it so much more complex than it has to be, and a lot of times, even in these big complex rituals that some of us do at times, the actual ritual part of it is just habit, and there's a difference. And the ritual lasts like 2 minutes, right? The rest of it is just habitual things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just that the shower one, the bath one, those are all huge. For some reason, when I'm in a bathtub, because I don't take a bath very often, I shower. But when I get in the bathtub and I put my head underwater so that my ears are under the level of the surface, the way that sound changes is very calming to me, and it's probably calming to a lot of people, considering it represents and or can remind people of subconscious feelings of being in the womb and being protected by the amniotic fluid and the amniotic sac. That's actually a studied thing, that people are comfortable in the fetal position and underwater. Granted, you can't breathe underwater, so that could be a problem. So
Yeah, probably.
I don't want anybody going out and trying that, and saying like, "Well, they told me I could,"
Right.
you know,
Next thing you know, we're getting sued.
right?
It's
So
like,
no,
well, shit. I never imagined this would be our first lawsuit.
right? Got to start somewhere, right?
Exactly. Um, yeah, and I think the simple rituals, the simple spells that you can do day to day, something like making a mojo bag or something like that, something to carry with you. I think that like that consistency is also very powerful. Like I think you know
Not poppers.
there you go. What is that?
It
What the hell
it's
is that?
sun water. It's a little there. I call them, and I love calling them this because it makes people laugh. But I call them spank bottles,
Okay.
because they're little teeny bottles like a roller. They have the little just a little teeny hole in them, and you have to kind of spank it to get the whatever's in it to come out.
Yeah.
They have to spank it, so I call them spank bottles. But this is one I actually shared with a whole bunch of people. It's a mix that I made: holly berry oil, a carrier oil, and a couple of other things in it. And to me, it smells like spring in the sunlight. So when I'm depressed or have a bad day, just putting a little bit of this out, it immediately reminds me of the ritual I did that connected this to the sun and to that feeling. And so that's kind of what I know. It's a spank bottle. Call it that from now on, and everybody will love you for it. But that was a ritual that did this, and that
Mm-hmm.
this became a spell that I can utilize and take with me. Some people use spray water, from moon water and all kinds of things.
No, yeah,
But
definitely.
stink bottles are awesome.
I think the consistency is also kind of important. Like for some people, I mean, like I know some people, are like 2, 3 rituals a year, type of thing, on and they do like the big rituals, and then, but I feel trying to create some type of consistency in your magic, is very powerful. Like even if it's just a small thing,
Hmm.
like saying a little incantation over your coffee before you drink it, getting in the habit of doing that, or when you make it, or whatever it might be, whatever tickles your fancy and floats your boat. right? And makes your
Whatever
deck and may whatever makes your deck big. Um,
tickles your pickle and blows up your skirt.
yeah, exactly. You know, just those little things that you can find throughout the day, you know, to do to kind of bring that consistency and bring that magic into your life every day. Whether that's, you know, dark magic, light magic, it doesn't matter. Whatever magic you connect with, you know, finding that consistency, you know, for yourself every single day, I think is extremely important. You know, to remain connected and not start to feel lost. I think something that, you know, happens to a lot of us is, you know, that day to day grind and shit. You know, it grinds on you, right? It doesn't just grind your bank account. You know, it grinds you, and we have a tendency sometimes, you know, to forget, you know, about, you know, that magic side of ourselves, and to bring that magic side of ourselves into our day-to-day, you know, routines. And I think if we can find that day-to-day consistency, you know, and find a couple of different things, I would suggest, because it's maybe sometimes in the morning, guess what, you know, you woke up a little bit late, you don't have time to say that incantation over the coffee, you just gotta pour it in the cup and fucking get out the door, right? You know, find a couple of different things in the day, so if you miss one, you know, you're not going to feel like, oh shit, I fucked up, I didn't do it, you know. So that way you got something to kind of fill in the gap, right? You know, but bring that consistency in. Allow that magic to kind of, like, you know, flow in your day-to-day shit. And allow that energy to have a direction to go in, you know? Like, I mean, for me right now, you know, before it was doing, you know, kind of like extra long rituals, like, you know, being in front of my altar for an hour or so really helped. Um, that kind of got stale, so I needed a new ritual, and so now I'm doing, you know, instead of, like, you know, a normal 20-minute workout, I'm doing, you know, an hour and a half, you know, something like that. And you know, I agree with Mystic. It's kind of a band-aid to a certain point. You know, it helps with the immediate, you know, emotional sensation that you're dealing with. But for me, even though it's only immediate, it allows me a point of clarity, so I can say, okay, do I really need to be feeling this way right now? Right? It allows me to come back to that point of clarity, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not obsessing over that emotion and allowing my brain to take over and, you know, make a mountain out of a molehill, right? You know, it allows me enough clarity to kind of take a step back and try to course, like, you know, make a redirect on the course that I'm on, you know. And I think that that's the important part, when, at least for me, when I'm having a bad mental health day, is I need that breather. You know, I need those few seconds, those few minutes, you know, to kind of like open up and say, all right, dude, what are you doing? Right? Like, you know, do you have a legitimate reason for feeling the way that you're feeling right now? And if not, why are you feeling the way that you're feeling, and how can we handle this in a better, more healthy way? You know, that's what it allows me to do, right? Um, I do want to throw a disclaimer out there, because I am talking about mental health. I am not a doctor. I am not a therapist. Nothing I say here is, you know, medical advice in any way, shape, or form. Right?
Same.
I am merely talking about my personal experiences and what I've done in my personal experiences to help myself redirect that energy, and to be able to kind of redirect a course that I don't like that I'm on. That's all I'm saying. So, and as if anybody didn't hear it, Mystic said same.
Same. But yeah, I mean, it is there. There's a lot. There's plenty of support that shows, you know, consistent physical exercise does allow and release, you know, your body to have, you know, good, um, improved chemical balances in the brain. You know, for me, it's one of the reasons why I just insist on doing my own yard work lately, the last year or so. Because while I'm doing that, I'm not focusing on anything else. I'm not focused on the thoughts or the feelings. I'm just doing something that needs to be done. and it allows the for lack of a better phrase, it allows all the different shapes to fall back in through the right hole, right? Instead of just popping around all over the place. It kind of lets things line back up a minute, and then you can kind of look at those things objectively. And I talked about this actually in a previous discussion about, allowing and having what I call an allowance box, um, and allowing those things to exist outside and afterwards so that you can assess them and evaluate them. And um, I think ritual is very good for that. I think whatever your ritualistic practices that you come up with, or whatever spells you do, mantras, things, those are very beneficial to those outcomes. And I think a sad world, yes, you can create a spiritual cleansing ritual, getting rid of negative energy for sure. There's lots of things that you can do. To me, it takes a lot of different approaches at one time to cut those things out, but that takes something very specific to me. Um, Naming things is important to me. You can't, I think of it kind of like the never-ending story, right? The nothing is the absence of something, right? And so when you are feeling nothing and you're feeling that nothing is good, and that you don't have anything to live for, and that everything is poor and everything is in a bad mental space, um, naming some of those feelings can help, because then once they have a name, you can then look at them, right? So I feel shitty, I feel everything is bad, but name that thing. Give it a name and call it by its name, and tell it like Halsier said, "Visit, kid. It's time to stop following me around." And you tell it off, but then you also have to go back around to it and say, how did I get here, and why did that nameless, faceless thing start following me around, so that I can stop it? I think
Uh,
ritualistically, burning is one of my favorite things to do too. Like
Same. Same.
things that
Burning
things
is.
that yeah, things that like piss you off or that are really bugging you. When I do cord cutting, or when I do binding spells and stuff like that, it's always with fire. It always ends with fire, burning whatever it is into the air, into the universe.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I like that idea about naming things. So that's something that I haven't done actually. I like that idea. Because I think that's also another thing. Like when I'm having a bad mental health day and I feel like shit and I feel like everything's kind of falling through, like when you don't put a label on it, when you don't identify it, what it is that's making you feel that way, or at least attempt to, right? It becomes
All
overwhelming.
consuming.
Yeah, it becomes
Yeah.
all consuming. Like everything around you starts to turn into, a part of that shit
Sounded like a
show.
gong. That was good.
Right? And so it's like one of those things that I think that's a great idea. I think if you're able to, give it a label, it's easier to kind of focus, that magical energy on it, and kind of burn it out, right? Burn
And
it
it works
away.
for some people and it may not for others, but like I even know people that actually like name it, like John. I'm not kidding. They give it a name so that they can say, "Okay, John, I see you. You're pissing me off, and I don't know why. Get out of my face." And it makes them feel better because they're giving that feeling an existence that can be touched and latched onto and then pushed off.
I just feel like I just can't imagine that conversation with my family though. Like what's bothering you? Peter's fucking with me again.
Uh-huh.
Like,
I'm
like,
not look, I it sounds weird to me too because that's not I don't know that I could do that, but it makes me chuckle, which would also make me probably feel better actually. Um but yeah, like they just give it a name. I think I don't know if there's a name or a process for that, but that was definitely one of them. And then, you know, key magic is another type of magic that I like to do. Key magic and gear magic, which is if I want something to stop, then I imagine and I work with gear like images or actual physical gears that I can separate, or if I don't want it to happen, I separate it so the gears
mhm.
aren't turning, so that means that it stops. Or if I want something to start or to go, I work with gears and put them together so that they're turning together. And same thing with keys open and close doors, so I work with keys to say I want to close these doors and I want to open these doors, and kind of work through those things in that manner.
No, yeah, definitely, definitely. I couldn't give it like a human name, but I mean, I could definitely kind of, kind of like come up like I like the idea of kind of like being able to kind of label what it is, focus on it. Like I think who said it? It was Aaron said it. One thing at a time.
Yeah.
You know, and it allows you to kind of break it down because I know for me personally, like when I get into that bad mental state, which is one of the reasons why exercise is really helping me to take that step back and kind of look at objectively what it is that I'm going through, is because it starts to feel like fucking everything. It starts to feel like everything at once is falling apart around you, and the reality might be that that's not what's happening, but you're just not in the place to see, what is really going on, right? Um, so, um, Obscura, I would agree with that. Like naming it a human name would kind of like make me uneasy. It's like breathing life into it,
See, I think
right?
that would be something to really look at. Why would you feel that way? Because most people I know in here don't have any problem telling a person off if they don't like what they are, who they are. So why
True.
does giving it life? Why is that a hard thing?
I mean, I
It's weird
think
to me too. Like I can't do that. Like if I'm naming it, it's going to be like depression or sadness. I'm going to give it
yeah.
a descriptive label, not a name. But people do. I'm like, okay, whatever works. And I'm sure I read that somewhere, Scarlet. It's somewhere in history somewhere that I've read. Um, but yeah, and I could see that. I could see that. I wouldn't feel it that way, but I can definitely understand that. That's an interesting way to look at it. But I'd be like, look, it's John. John, I can't fucking stand you. Get the hell out my face. Bye, John. But I also think shadow person entities are also, like you said, they're created. So if you believe that that's what's happening, then that's probably what would happen
Mhm.
for you. Because I think taking their name away does the same thing too. You just have to know the name.
Well, yeah. I mean, that kind of makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I would think like I think it's important just to kind of like have that consistency. I'm going to reiterate that point. To kind of redirect that energy, find something that works for you. It's going to be different for everybody, right?
And it can change.
And it can change. Like I said, like I used to really be like you sit down, do an hour ritual, and I start to feel better. Last few days that hasn't worked, and so I switched it up to something more physical, right? Who knows? In 6 months, it might be getting a tattoo every time I feel like this. That would get really fucking expensive, though.
Oh, I'm ready for my next one. We
So
gotta fill this in.
yeah, I gotta get this part done before I start going. Gotta get like both sides here kind of done before I start moving arms. Um, so I think
Be
I think I've
elbow
decided. I think
tab.
I'm gonna put sigils on this arm, like
Nice.
so. I think that's what I'm gonna end up doing. Milkshake, cupcake, honey bear, and twat head.
I like that. That works. That's the kind of thing I would do.
Right?
Twatty McTwatterson,
Right, right.
you know?
Um, fuck face. Yeah, that one will work.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, but guys, quick thing that I kind of want to throw out there. We're getting
Aaron.
close to the book release date. Are you guys excited? You guys excited for this thing? Like, I'm excited. I'm excited to get some physical copies of this thing and see what it looks like in the hand. Like, so we're getting super close to the book dropping. So, I'm going to say this now. So, some people have seen the Oracle deck, the original concept that I had for the Oracle deck, and I have now the Oracle deck that's coming with the book. For those that are getting the Oracle deck, it's going to be a 30 card Oracle deck, like I said, and I've got about 25 cards done off of the original design. But being the type of person that I am, an idea hit me a couple of days ago, and I started doing some designs that are going to be replacing the original designs that I have 25 done of. Which means I have to come up with 28 cards in 15 days. Roughly 14 days, something like that. So these are a lot more detailed. These are a lot more personal to me. And I think fit the content of the book much more than the original ones did. The original ones I feel were just a concept for concept's sake. And I don't feel like I was putting enough of myself into them to make them worthy of being given to you lovely people that have been so generous with, you know, your time, your money, and everything else. So I want to give you more of myself. And these new designs are definitely going to be doing that. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm just gonna pop up one of the designs up here so you guys can see it. This card has no name. You know, it just is what it is. What I'm actually gonna do is I'm gonna go into studio mode here so that way it doesn't like. All right, so I'm gonna pull this in so you guys can see it. Do you guys? Well, first let me ask you guys: do you guys want to see one of the cards, like one of the new designs? Do you guys want to see one of the new designs? You guys interested in seeing what this looks like? Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Get this pulled up here so y'all can see it. All right. So this card, this is what the card looks like, right here. That's just one of the cards. There's a lot more of myself going into these. So that's just it goes completely against what Mystic was saying he likes. So
No, it's not necessarily. That's not a truly human face. That's a drawn face.
yes.
It's the photographic part that I don't like. It's not photographic.
So that is just one of the cards that I'm putting together. Like I said, these cards are going to be a lot darker. There's a lot more emotion in these cards. And yeah, so I want to give you guys something that I'm proud of, and I'm going to be honest. At 25 cards that I have done for the other designs, I'm not proud of the other ones. This one I'm proud of. So there you go. That's just kind of like a taste of it. So yeah. Hopefully those that get the deck are happy with it. It's gonna be like Dark Mirror. Yeah, it's an Oracle deck, right? So I definitely didn't want to make a tarot deck. A tarot deck I think is too restrictive. Didn't want to go that route. At least in my opinion, a tarot deck is too restrictive. I mean, I understand there's some tarot decks that can kind of be like multi-purpose, but you know, this is exclusively an Oracle deck. There is no book that comes with it. So there are no definitions for the cards. There are no numbers. There are no names. It is just artwork, and it is completely open for your interpretation. I would not recommend this deck for beginners. Like if you have not worked with, any type of, card-based divination in the past, I would say try something. Maybe start out with something like, Dark Mirror or, Rider White or something like that. But this is like when you get this deck is all you. It's all your interpretation, 100% intuitive. What is reflecting for you when you're reading it. Connect it to whatever it is that you want to connect it to. I would definitely suggest, performing a ritual over the deck before you use it. Imprint your energy fully into it. Imprint your deity's energy into it, and then have a fucking field day, right? So, that would be my suggestion. But the idea hit me a couple of days ago. I know what direction it's going. It's not going to take very long to put these together, because it's coming. Like I'm pouring myself into these images, into this artwork. There's definitely going to have a lot of grunge vibes to it. So the name of the deck is going to be the Rusted Hope Oracle. That's the name of the deck, Rusted Hope Oracle. Because there is going to be a lot of like grunge-based themes in the artwork. A lot of layering, things like that. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's going to drop. Initially, it's going to drop, with the book. People that pre-ordered the book or helped out, with the production of the book, are going to be getting that deck with the book, with the copy of the book that they're going to be getting. I will then create another variant of this deck to be sold separately. So for those of you that are thinking that, like, you're gonna buy this deck when the book drops later on this month, you're not going to be able to do that. So there's that aspect of it. So please keep that in mind. It'll probably be another 6 months before the other variant's finished, and then you guys can actually purchase that one. But this variant, as it is exclusively for people that, dropped, a donation into Patreon. So anyone that donated $250 to $500 will be getting a copy of the book and that Oracle deck. Evildoer, welcome. So, if anyone is interested and wants the deck, wants a copy of the deck, even though I have to full disclosure here, the amount of money that I wanted to raise for the book has been reached. Okay? But I still have 4 spots in Patreon. There's 2 for $250 and 2 for $500. That money will go to future publications. That'll be put into the documentary that I'm going to be working on, which is called Satan is My Spirit Animal. I'm making a documentary about basically the left-hand path, things like that, which I'm going to work on. That is going to start immediately after the book drop. If you want one of those Oracle decks that are going to be produced specifically for those amounts, you are more than welcome to go and drop, your donation at Patreon, and you will get a copy of the book and a copy of the Oracle deck, and you will be one of the only 8 people that are going to have a copy of this specific deck. So there's that aspect of it. That money, that extra money that goes into the Patreon, will go directly into either future publications or to the documentary. You can shoot me a note of what you want me to use the money on, and that's where the money will go. So, just to let you guys know that. And the Patreon, I think it's just Mr. Malice. I think is what the Patreon is. If you guys are interested. If not, no worries. Just give it 6 months, and I'll be dropping another variant. You'll be able to just buy the deck, right? So, but a different variation, right? So, there's that part of it. So yeah. With that being said, what do you got, Mystic? So let's talk to Mystic for a little bit, because Mystic went through, went to hell and back here, over the last couple of weeks here. You want to tell the people how your what's your yard look like?
Well, there's not much left of it. Now we did good. Like we were lucky compared to what some people went through, for sure. But they're all first world problems. House is still standing. We did not get water in the house, which was great. Our roof is shredded, and we have the actual tile clay roof, not even just shingles. It's shredded. It looks like glass shattered everywhere. So roof, our pool cage, which some people call it the bird cage, but the screen, they're usually the size come on the back of the house like a screened-in porch. Yep. It's gone. And then our fence is gone. We had a very old, probably 60-foot oak tree that is gone.
Damn.
Yeah. We had 13 days without power.
Still no internet.
And 17 days without internet. Now, while we've been on here, internet has come up.
Oh, okay.
But it is not, I don't know what you call it, stable enough to hold anything at the moment.
Right.
So we're running most of our stuff off of
5G
hotspot. Yeah.
Okay.
Which we didn't have that either for a while. For probably maybe a week ago, we got that back. But it's been difficult because obviously we've been through this before with Irma, but never this bad. If anybody looks on the news, I won't give too much away, but if you look on the news, if you've seen the Weather Channel, and they talk about Sanibel, that's 20 minutes from me, or Pine Island, that's 10 minutes from me. And those are the two areas where the bridge is washed out completely.
Wow.
So where I live, you go left onto Pine Island, you go right, basically our house. So we're really close to ground zero. I don't want to put anybody else's out there, but I know Dragon Dancer, they had some damage as well. She lives not too far from me. It was scary. I should not have stayed home during the hurricane. And then 99% of our work, for us has been at the facilities because of our jobs. We had to put all of our stuff on hold while we focused on patients and
right.
All that stuff. So we're finally, today was the first day we actually did work at the house. Our pool guy's coming over tomorrow to help take the pool cage down because it's dangerous. It's corrugated metal everywhere. Our irrigation got pulled up too with the tree.
So what do you think your the estimated amount of monetary damage is?
Everything together, our adjuster's coming out next Wednesday, but I would probably guess about 80,000.
Fucking Christ, goddamn.
Well, it's because we have a tile roof and it's going to have to be replaced. That's 40 to 50,000. Fence is
Right.
10,000. Pool cage is 15,000.
Does the
That
tile
doesn't
do?
even include irrigation and all that stuff.
Does the tile roof, like, so in situations like this, like the hurricane, does it do better or worse?
I think better. My roof itself, I have no leaks. Um, because underneath it is the protected part of the roof, which is waterproof, right? So we lost the tiles and tiles cracked, but nothing underneath got ripped off, probably
Right.
because the tiles were on it. Um, it was terrifying. We have storm shutters, right? So if anybody has knows storm shutters in Florida, it's a big thing, and you actually they're concrete anchored into your house,
Mm-hmm.
and they're steel or sometimes fiberglass. Ours are steel, lightweight, and they're practically indestructible. We have two that were literally ripped in half, and then other ones that ripped right off the anchors.
Really?
We had our canal came up across the street. The guys, they have one of those basketball courts that they tipped over so it wouldn't blow away. It went all the way down the street. We've got boats in yards, and some people had it way worse than us because our house is smartly built up on a berm. Like if you were to walk from between our houses in my neighborhood, you literally do this. You go up to the house and then down, then up, then down, then up, then down. So we're all raised individually on our plots, which
Right.
is huge. Um, but it was terrifying, and I should not have stayed home during that. It was a bad decision.
Oh, so you were home the whole time?
Yep. And of all the things that scared me is, the storm shutters are up, so you can't see outside. You can only hear because the storm shutters they're from outside. I heard the tree fall. I heard the groaning, and the groaning of the noise of the pool cage caving in was the worst. The ripped off hurricane shutters hitting against the wall, and then of everything, it was the inability to communicate because cell service was down. There was nothing, no power, no water, no nothing. It's just nothing. And you kind of think, oh well, I have a generator and I have cell phone. Those things don't work in these situations. They didn't for a couple days. So the only way to get information was to go outside. And it lasted full force from 11 a.m. for us until about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night because it just kind of skated up the whole way. And
Right.
it was very creepy because, we all went out during the eye of the storm and talked to the neighbors and went back in. So it was literally hurricane force winds that way. And then hurricane force winds going the opposite direction. So it's kind of like thinking of bending that wire back and forth until it breaks. Kind
Yep.
of what happened. But we definitely didn't get the worst of it. Um, we have quite a few people died. Our favorite restaurants are gone. The beaches are gone. The islands, there's nothing left on most of them. Um, and it was scary, but
What,
thankfully most of us
what
are
category?
good.
What category storm was it? It was a category 4, right?
It was a category 4. It missed category 5 by 2 miles per hour. Although our gusts were higher. And the problem with this storm wasn't even that, it was the size of it and how long it lasted in place. See, Hurricane Andrew was a very strong storm, but it was also very fast moving and small. And it went across and it did its damage and it was done. This just might, like, when we got to the eye of the storm, and I've been in a hurricane before, I've been in tornado before, but in the eye of the storm, we're like, it has to be over because it's already been 5 hours. Like hurricane force winds don't last for 5 hours. That's just not normal. Um, but it turned and came right back around. And then it went all the way across the state, hit the water, became a category 1 hurricane again, and then hit South Carolina, killed a couple people.
Really?
Yep,
That's insane. That's
it is
insane.
insane. It is definitely the storm of the century for me, but I unfortunately believe that we will have more worse storms. Maybe not even in Florida, but they're coming. We have Katrina that occurred obviously in New Orleans with this, and there's been other storms that have been pretty devastating. I think it was Michael that hit a couple years ago in the Panhandle. It did some pretty big damage, but this one was crazy. Yeah, thank you, Dragon Dancer. I appreciate it. Rub it in. Oh, dude, now we got, I think it was a good 48 hours before we got cell service back, but you could only make calls. You couldn't do like data or hotspot or anything. And so we started, and you couldn't get a hotel either because all the linemen coming over were in the hotel. So we had to get a hotel 2.5 hours away in Wellington, Florida, which is way on the other coast. So Maria, yeah, Maria hit the Keys pretty hard too, but Puerto Rico and all of them. But the last big hurricane for us was Irma in Florida, and before that was Isabel for me in Virginia, and it was bad. We didn't have power for 2.5 weeks there too, but I'm glad things turned out very well.
That's just. I mean, I'm glad it worked out well. I'm glad you guys are okay. I'm glad it was only property.
It was stress we didn't need, uh, but at this point in it, it feels like a complaint, you know. So it's starting to feel like now we want to get some things back to normal. I want our fence back.
Wait, which one? The pool cage or just the fence?
Both. I really want the fence back more than anything because the dogs, like my dogs can't go outside now by themselves. They have to, you know what I
Right.
mean? Which
Yeah.
sucks. Um, Pool cage is important in the next summer, so we have a little time for that one. I mean, we use our pool year round, but the mosquitoes aren't that bad until like April, May.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm glad you guys are still alive. I'm sorry about the damage. Have to
I'm glad we're alive too.
Um, so do you think reason for the increased force of the storms like gradually over time? I mean fast, but like any gods are pissed off.
I think so. I honestly think just that kind of looking back at it, it was it's the I you know the I guess the way I look at it is we're the parasites and we always will be. And every once in a while, Mother Earth is going to swing her horsetail at us and knock the flies off. I think that's what happens. And I don't think it's anything bigger than that. I mean, there is. I do obviously. I don't know if it's obvious or not, but I think human accelerated global warming is a thing, and I think that has added to the strength of the storms. But I think they would have occurred anyway. Maybe not as strong or as long lasting, perhaps, but um, I mean, at one point, the Earth was a whole bunch of freaking boils of volcanoes, so um, we don't make it any better for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I
But
just I just sit there and kind of think about it. Like, I mean, talking, but a storm that lasted 9 hours for you.
at least it was 9 hours of actual hurricane strength, 9 to 10 hours actually, because it started at 11:30. At 11:30, I went outside and took some videos, and I could lean into the wind and not fall. By 12:30, everything was gone, like out. Like you couldn't open the door; it would rip the door off the hinges if you opened the door. The speed of the wind and that we had with the gusts is common in low level tornadoes, and we had it for 10 hours. Some people 12, like Dragon Dancer is saying, there were some areas that got like hit. Like for us, the eye wall kind of hit where we live, and then kind of just skated up like that, and then turned in again. So just yeah, could have been so much worse. I really should not have stayed home for it. That was just dumb.
Well, I mean, well, you said you've been through came before, so I mean, based off of your
Couple.
experience, you're
Yeah.
just batten down the hatches, wait it out.
Yeah, this was the worst one ever, for sure.
Crazy, crazy. Well, on that note, everybody, I think we're gonna call it. Mystic, you down for an after session? But
For a few minutes, perhaps, yeah.
Okay, we'll do a Discord. We'll do a Discord after party chit chat. If anybody's interested, if you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. Somebody can get the link to the Discord up in the bitch. Um, right. So so that way y'all can join in and in the chat that's gonna happen after we finish the show here. Thank you all for being here. Greatly appreciate you guys. Are fucking amazing. Love your faces. This has been the Malice Experience, and we will see you fuckers next week. And as always, hail thy fucking self. Peace the
Deuces.
fuck out.
Hail thyself to be.